All right, Luke, you want me to kick it off? You want to kick it off?
You can go and kick it off.
All right. Welcome everyone to the August 19th, 2021 block producer meeting for FIO. We have a few things on the agenda item. First, we'll start off as usual with, I'll go over some of the upcoming releases. We do have a big one pending here. And I don't know what order we want to go in, but we do want to do that demo of the Hey FIO, which kind of is cool. I'm excited to see. We're going to review some FIPS. I don't know, there might be some additional ones Pablo wants to review, but specifically FIP 31 is on the agenda to review. The BP reserves, the kind of daily reserves that get minted is on the agenda, as well as that is coming up. Those will probably be running out fairly soon. So we need to, it'd be good to have an active discussion. I think last time BP's really took the lead on proposing and adopting changes for that, and probably want to do the same thing here, but a good forum for discussing that as well. Anything else that I missed? Obviously, we can always just bring it up last minute as well.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think that was all we had for this call. But yeah, if anyone else has any topics that we need to discuss, definitely make sure to bring them up, and we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it.
Now, if there's some flexibility in the agenda, I'd suggest we do the Hey FIO intro first. We have Alex on, and he'll drop off after the demo. So
sure, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Cool. So I guess just a little bit of background. Ourselves, EOS Dublin, Barcelona, Amsterdam, and EOS Sphere kind of came together to come up with a project or a tooling to make it easy for complete newbies to buy FIO domains, FIO names. And the idea is to have a platform here that, you know, anybody can come in, create an account, and get introed into FIO. So we're kind of where we are with it now. It's at beta stage. We'd like to show it to the rest of the community for feedback, and maybe even enlist some people to help us with some testing, feature requests, etc. So I know Alex is on the call, and he's got a quick run through and demo, and he'll be able to kind of show you guys what we've been up to.
Yeah, of course. Can I share my screen? One moment. Here we go. So this is Hey FIO running on staging. Just made a brand new account here. You can register. Simply with an email and password. You can, for security, you can enable 2FA using Google Authenticator. QR code sometimes takes a little while to load there. We have the ability to buy addresses and domains with either FIO or Stripe. For some reason it's only showing me the, oh, here we go. I can buy with my card here. Let that load. Gosh, it's expensive. Or pay with FIO. I currently don't have any accounts or FIO added on here, so I'm going to buy using a card. This is just using Stripe test mode, so that's an accepted card on Stripe. So what's just happened here is Stripe has just successfully taken my payments. Stripe has then notified the Hey FIO about a successful purchase, and then using the pool accounts on Hey FIO, it's then purchased the domain and assigned it to a private key for the user logged in, which is myself. So then I have my new domain here. It won't be very useful at the moment because there's no money on it, so no FIO, so pretty limited in what I can do with it. However, I'm going to top it up. So I'm going to get hold of the public key. This is testnet, so I can show you the private key, and if you steal my domain, I'll be okay with that. I'm going to give myself some FIO to my public key. Refresh here. I can now see that I have some actual FIO, so I can now do some purchasing using FIO. Now it's worth noting with the the fact that this domain is private. It can't be bought by anyone other than myself. Let's see if I can buy some puppies. Yes, here we go. And I've just now bought myself puppies. There's ability to renew addresses. I know that the whole renewal process might change in the future. If I tried to buy this one, that wouldn't work because there's not enough gear there for the cost there. Puppies address has just been extended on domains. I have the ability to toggle the public and privateness, so I can now allow someone else to, other people can now register using happiness. If I decided that I didn't, I want to give happiness to someone else, I could get the public key and transfer it over to them. Obviously a permanent action, you can't undo that. So yeah, I no longer have happiness, my domain, I've given it over to someone else. Although I still own the account just doesn't have any addresses or domains on it. And every time a new account, a new address or domain is bought, a new private key is generated associated with this account and is given the new address or domain. Now we also have the ability to import via private key. So you can import an account that can have nothing on it, or it could have addresses and domains on it. So here I'm just importing a private key. It's been successful. And this was the private key that I transferred the domain happiness to. So now I have my happiness back. I lost it for a bit and then it came back to me. Now this domain currently doesn't have any, the account that owns this domain doesn't have any fee on it. So if I attempted to do an action on this, such as renewing, oh, actually, I can use a different account to pay with that. But making it private, it has to. That's a privileged action that only the owner account can do. So that wouldn't work. But I can renew it using Theo from any other account, as that's a public action there. There we go. There's all the sort of general features. Can reset your passwords, enable, disable 2FA. We have ability to reveal private keys, so you can then take the account somewhere else. And then we just have a link to the accounts Explorer and Block, so you can then look at it if you want to dig a bit deeper into what's happening there.
Very cool.
And at the moment, we have it running in staging and test nets for Theo, and also test Stripe. And we also just have the beta now up and running Sharif, using mainnet Theo and real money on Stripe.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Excellent. I don't know if we want to spend a few minutes for questions. We got that time for that, Eric, or?
Yeah, sure.
Super cool. So yeah, I put a couple in the chat there. I was curious about chargebacks, how you guys are going to handle that with Stripe. Also curious about if you can purchase additional bundled transactions, because I think, that will probably, as we talked about, at some point, probably replace the need to renew an expired address. We're probably going to have that expiration process kind of be a non-issue anymore, but you will always have to kind of renew your, get more bundled transactions, not so much renew, but, if you're using it a lot for fiat requests and things like that, and those run out, then you won't be able to use it anymore. And then also I was curious, can you import a key that hasn't shown up on the chain yet? That's, I know, is a little bit of a challenge with Anchor Mobile, for example. If it's not on chain and it doesn't find an active account, it's like, I don't even know what you're doing. So I was curious about those.
I'll take the chargeback question first.
for it.
We're not sure yet on that one. I mean, there's a lot of NFTs now that are starting to be sold by Stripe. We're kind of positioning this as the same type of thing. Yeah, so we'll see how it works over the next couple of months as we start to put it live and put people through it. Regards to the importing a key that's not on chain, Alex, any ideas there?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just demoed importing a private key that hadn't ever been used on the chain before, and that was fine. And then I transferred something to it, and I can demo. Sorry, I actually had already added a domain to it, but yes, you can perfectly fine import an account with nothing on it. That works fine. It just doesn't have anything interesting to show on it. There's no addresses or domains.
And then as far as the ability to purchase bundles, is that something you might consider adding?
Yeah, I certainly think that could be a next feature on it. One of the use cases that we've been kind of thinking about is, how does something like a school register a domain and then invite students to create accounts within that domain? And how do they fund that? As maybe that's bundled transactions or referral codes or something. We haven't quite figured that out, but that's kind of what we're thinking that we need to start getting some viral kind of flywheel adoption for these kind of things.
I love that. I've actually been talking to our team since, gosh, probably almost 2 years ago about wanting to have a voucher-based system for registering field addresses, where you could basically have a spreadsheet of 1,000 voucher codes and you send them out, just like in that example, to a group of people. And you're not like creating it on chain immediately. You're just creating an access code that allows them to create something on chain that you've kind of prepaid for. And then as people, claim those, and if there's ever a problem or you notice somebody's leaking the codes out to whoever, you can just turn it off on the registration side so they don't use up all your codes. I would love to see something like that for this. That's really cool. Really well done, guys. This is great.
So this is the tech side. Now we are working on the legal side, also get the terms and conditions right. One of the things that I dove into a little bit and couldn't really find is disputes. How is FIO handling those?
That's a great question. As of the moment, I don't believe we have a stance on it. Essentially, it's like the chain is law, and essentially you all as block producers, would decide whether you'd want to get involved in disputes. And at the moment, the recommendation I think is the answer would be no, like whatever's on chain is what's on chain. If you're asking specifically related to like domain ownership disputes, are there other type of disputes you were thinking of?
No, especially IP, violating IP rights, registering whatever available.
Yeah, my understanding is that's going to be handled in the jurisdiction of the people that are within the dispute. Meaning, if there is a law in, for example, I'm in Puerto Rico, United States law related to a trademark infringement, and I had a domain and someone knew who I was as the owner of that domain, and they wanted to, seek out, legal guidance on that, then I would obviously have to deal with the jurisdiction I'm in. So I think that's kind of the stance. I mean, Pavo and David, maybe, I think you guys probably thought through this early on.
Yeah, that look, at the end of the day, if somebody has a trademark dispute, they got to take it up with the courts and whatever legal system they're in. I mean, the registrar, the entity that provided a platform to help register is, from my experience, is not typically, the court could order you in theory to do something, I guess, but you have no ability to do it because it's not centralized. So they can't even really order you to do something you can't do. So it's also
the question was more in the context that if we provide this as a service to the community, and basically we facilitated the sales of something that we know somebody else or reasonably easy would have known that IP rights holder is not purchasing the domain, then there's some sort of liability there.
I think you can check into it, but I don't know if there is. I mean, the best, obviously, corollary is domain registrations for the web, and I'm not aware of any domain name registrar that does any sort of trademark verification on the front end. They do almost all have a process on the back end because those are centralized entities for handling trademark disputes, but I'm not aware of any of them having any front end requirements, at least in the United States. So I mean, check with your attorneys, but I don't think there's really any risk there. I don't think there's any obligation for you.
No. It was a question of Jetse, he was Amsterdam co-founder. He's a lawyer, so he's now working on the.
It's a good question. Definitely worth asking, but I think the precedent you see with domains is just, I think you'll be happy with what you hear, that you really don't have much risk. And then of course that's again reinforced by the fact that you aren't a centralized registrar, right? It's a decentralized platform. You're just providing an interface for people who do this. In theory, somebody could go and do this without your interface, if they're technical enough. And that's kind of a cool image, him walking into the space there. That was kind of cool. One thing, he's coming back. So one thing I do think we need to think.
Somebody rang the bell. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It was funny to watch you walk into the ether. It was very cool.
Yeah.
One thing that we should start to think through, and probably loop in the marketing team, is one of the things we got to figure out now. This is a good problem. We never had to deal with this before. Is how do we tell the world and the community that this is a legitimate site and it's not a scam site, right? And so there's the marketing part of that, of announcing it. Should we have a page on the new FIO website that's going up that says, here are legitimate third-party sites? Is there a way, to do this on the FIO chain? This gets into attestations, Luke, right? Is there a way to use, maybe, we talk about FIO Nft signatures, but what if, somebody used that functionality to map a web URL of a site like this to their FIO address, and then if we added attestations in the future, the foundation could attest that FIO address was legitimate, not a scam. I don't know. We need to think through that. At a minimum, there needs to be probably public announcement by FIO that this is legitimate, and inclusion on some page off the FIO website that this is a legitimate site. But I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Good point.
Let's do some more testing on it first, but yeah, great.
This is great stuff. And also too, for any of the other block producers or community members, anyone else that wants to get involved, there is a Discord channel, like a special Hey FIO channel, where the team has been working on this. And we'd be happy to add you to that if you feel you can contribute. And also just as an open invitation to all the other block producers. The economics of this protocol is designed in such a way that you all receive, as you know, FIO tokens. And one of the great ways that you can get those tokens distributed to the community is by providing the utility service like the Hey FIO interface for those who want to have domains, addresses, all that kind of stuff. And it's essentially a way to have different exposure. So you're not just holding FIO, you're actually providing the tokens for others to gain the utility value of FIO and collecting, like in this example, USD through Stripe, or maybe another token, whatever you prefer. So I think is a really great way to kind of get the FIO utility tokens out into the market. And as you guys know, like, you gain a big chunk of those fees anyway, as you sell domains and addresses through the FIO tokens that you provide through a service like this, you are actually gaining a big chunk of that also. So just a really great idea. I'm really excited that you guys took the initiative to build this, and I look forward to seeing more stuff in the community like it.
Super. Thanks, Alex, for the demo.
Alex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Compliment to Alex. I just raised a small bug and it was solved, I think, within a minute. So that was
Fantastic.
At least for me, and a personal record.
Yeah, great demo, Alex.
Yeah, and as far as you mentioned, people help with bug testing, things like that. I would say, as you feel comfortable, feel free to post this in our Discord and in some of the more public channels, and even obviously the Hey FIO channel we have, and we can bang on a little bit, and that'd be great.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, let's do a quick review of the, I'll share my screen and we'll look at some of the upcoming releases from my dashboard, just coming out of PowerPoint right now, but I post that out as well, and I can send that link since I'm done here. So the next release we're working on, and something is wrong with the text isn't showing up. What? There you go. All right. So staking's the next release that's coming out. Team's been hard at work. We're in QA mode on that. So testnet is pending. This is the release. I think we've gone through this before and kind of even gone over this FIP, where you will be allowed to take FIO tokens, and we can get into the details of this more if there are questions, but just assuming people know what staking is, you're going to be able to take those FIO tokens and get a return on them. And there's a lot of, I think, FIP 20, Pavo, FIP 22. What are we on staking? No, FIP 17. Ed, maybe you know.
Staking is FIP 21.
21, dang it. All right, FIP 21. Go read FIP 21 for the details on staking there. So again, I have this targeted end of September, but I think we could be getting it into testnet within the next few weeks though. So keep an eye on that. We will, I mean, as much community testing on staking as possible when we get this onto testnet, go out, stake tokens. Do you get what you expect? So when you stake tokens in the FIO protocol, you'll be staking. And when you unstake, there's actually a 7-day lock period. And that's an important thing to test. So what you'll do is you'll stake tokens, the rate of exchange will go up or down. And when you unstake, you'll get more FIO than you staked, hopefully, if you don't do it like within milliseconds, but hopefully you'll get more based on the amount of fees coming in and based on amount of, there's these 25K daily staking rewards, similar to what we do for BP rewards, that'll go into the pool as well. So you'll unstake, get more FIO, and then make sure that that lock period's working for you. So we want to keep it in testnet at least a couple weeks to test that unstaking period as well. So we'll be looking for some community input on that. Important one coming out. And obviously, I think it was, as Ed said, like when you start, and Ed's been the lead developer on this, and when you start getting staking and things like that out, you get a bit of a target on your back. So we're going to be taking security serious on this, putting out a bounty program that I'll be sending out to our VPs as well. A lot of you guys are into the hacking and coding realm as well. So looking to collect on those bounties, feel free to step in and grab any of those if you can find issues with the code, both on the code level or just on type pen testing and things like that. So we'll be doing quite a bit of testing on that over the next month. The next one is NFT signatures. I'm not going to go again into the release too much. This is more for NFT signing, where you can, we're working initially with a group that allows you to sign NFTs, put it on chain, and then you have it. It's a similar to like mapping an address, where you'll be mapping an NFT. That's looking for an October release because we have some November events that we're trying to target for that. Part of this though, with the NFT signatures, is this dashboard piece, which actually gives instead of having to integrate all of our SDK and do all of the FIO protocol signing and packaging within the app, we're allowing them to kind of land on this dashboard that we're building that, again, kind of text isn't showing up, but that again allows the user to kind of go through and do the mapping within this contained environment. That will be within this dashboard. So we'll probably be doing what I'm calling a soft launch of the dashboard. I'm hoping by the end of September, early October, to get that out so it can work with the NFTs. And then we're actually doing a lot of other work in the dashboard for FIO functionality as well. That'll come out probably sometime later after that, several weeks after that, once we finish that up. Things just aren't pending right now, but again, token wrapping, that is dev complete, but we just don't have the resources to really focus on the QA and security testing on that right now. So that's probably going to be on hold for a couple of weeks, and then we'll fire that back up once staking's out the door and we can re-engage the QA team here.
Quick question about that one, Eric. Is that something we want to, yeah, I know it's a risk to even throw out there, but is that something we want to potentially engage the block producer community to take some ownership of? Because, you know, like you said, it's code complete. The block producers are deeply involved, especially those that plan to run the Oracle and be part of the custodian part of that. I'm just wondering if, you know, if we have something that work that can be done that doesn't take a whole lot of time to tee up, maybe on this call, we could see if there's any interest for someone to be like a project lead temporarily, just within the BPs to get that moving forward.
Well, we do have VPs that have already signed up, right, for token wrapping and being the hosts, one of the oracles, right? And we just haven't even gotten this into their hands yet. But that is something, that's what I want to get to, and it's just that extra overhead of doing that. So maybe in the next few weeks, even before we kind of fire up that full-on QA period, we could just at least get this out into everyone's hands and people would start looking at it and doing that level.
I mean, sometimes it's like, you know, you throw it in on GitHub and throw it over the wall and say good luck, right? Figure it out. And
Sure.
obviously, our pattern has been to do something much better than that. But I'm just throwing it out there for those who are going to be running oracles on that. If you do have cycles free that you want to start poking at it and looking at it, as Eric was saying, it's code complete. So if you wanted to actually start tinkering with it, you're more than welcome. I would say to play around with it. Just know that our ability to support you as a foundation is probably going to be limited at this time.
Yeah, I could throw that out there. It's a good idea, Luke. Like it. And then again, this is kind of more of a placeholder type release date, but the domain marketplace is not from FIO, but from another community project, which I think we've had demos of on the BP channel as well, is pending out there too in final stages of QA and UAT. So excited for that. And once we have more on the dates, I can get that one a little better on when that's going to release. It'll be a new contract out on the chain as well. So,
And I just got a note from Thomas from Blocksmith. He said that he'd be happy to do a demo on the next BP call. So
okay, so we're getting close on that one. Good. So that's all I have. Any questions on upcoming? Staken being the next one.
also too, I would just want to pause for a second. This format here, we've been using internally quite a bit every Monday. Eric gives the whole team an update, and there's maybe some new people on the call as far as the block producers. Is everyone clear on kind of what all this stuff means? Just like tracking scope increase, unexpected issues, just the different, the pie chart there, how we're tracking this kind of stuff. Any questions on that as well? If not, cool. I've been pretty excited about it. I think it packs a lot of information in a really readable format. And just a reminder that this is all up on the wiki. So even as this is being updated every week, you can always get an update from it there on the wiki.
It's given me some good lessons on date management as well for the team. So got to be a little tighter on that one on my side. Release management, I should say. All right. Next on the list, Pavel, what did you want to go through FIP 31 and give an overview of that and get feedback?
Yep. All right, so I can share screen, right? Let's see. All right. So yeah, FIP 31 is basically proposing the elimination of renewal expiration dates for FIO addresses. So at a high level, what this does is basically FIO addresses will no longer expire. So once you get your FIO address, it is going to be valid forever. There will still be obviously a fee to register a FIO address for the first time. So that part's not changing. And what's important, users will still have to continue buying the bundle transactions in order to use the chain. So obviously, if you do a FIO request, if you do any other transaction that you can use bundles for, you're either paying FIO tokens or you're using up the bundles. So the idea is that after you've used up your bundles, you can still purchase, add bundles to your FIO address in order to continue to use it. So each address will still continue to bring in revenue to the chain because anybody that wants to use it will have to continue paying. However, if somebody wants to just hold on to their FIO address and not do anything with them, they will now be able to do so indefinitely versus previously the address would expire after a year and be actually burned off of the chain. The domains will still continue work the way they are, so that part's not changing. The domains still will expire at the end of 1 year, and you have to renew them. If you don't renew them, the domain is burned. And also, all of the FIO addresses on that domain will be burned if the domain is burned. So that part's not changing. So the only thing that's really changing is that the FIO address doesn't have an expiration date. That's really what FIP 31 proposes. The background on that is we've been doing some usability testing of the FIO protocol and Edge Wallet probably like 2 or 3 months ago. And we got a lot of feedback from that, and also a lot of feedback from the community where people are just concerned, wait a second, if I start using the FIO address and then forget to renew it, especially since they may not always get a notification in an email because they may not even have an email, right? That somebody can now go and re-register that FIO address and potentially, take over payments that were supposed to go to them. So that was a major area of concern from the users that we have been hearing. So we debated a lot of different approaches to how to tackle that one, and we basically came up with, that this is probably the best compromise, where you get to hold on to your FIO address indefinitely. But then if you want to use it, you're going to have to pay the bundle transactions and purchase the bundle transactions. So that FIP's out there. Let me post it in chat, and I encourage everybody to take a look at it. And we are getting ready to accept that FIP and actually, start development on that. So if you guys have any comments on that, now would be a great time. And while I'm talking, you guys know I always ask for FIP reviews. There is another one which is called FIP 30, which is basically adding support for P network into the FIO chain. It's basically going to deploy a custom contract that is going to support P network, which is a centralized wrapping company, I guess. And in order to support FIO on their network, they need that custom contract out there. So that's basically what it's doing. It's different from the wrapping that we are working on for the FIO token, which uses decentralized oracles that some of you will actually be running. That is just making the FIO P-FIO, which is what it's going to be called, available on the P network. And that's separate, although it kind of accomplished the same objective of having a wrapped FIO token on another network. So I've asked for feedback on that. I think I got some feedback related to kind of ownership of the account. I've set up a call, I believe on Monday. It's on the community calendar. So anybody who is interested in having a conversation about it, feel free to join that call on Monday. And of course, if you haven't reviewed it yet, I encourage you to review it and provide feedback.
Yeah, one quick comment on that is that I think my understanding is we're not going to be asking them to kind of like change their practices and policies. Like there may be certain things that P Network does that, we feel should be more decentralized or, controlled in a different way. But it's really, my understanding is this is kind of their interface. And so if we want to work with it, this is the interface that they expect. That said, if we do come up with some ideas that they're flexible on, then by all means, let's talk about it. But ultimately, my hope was just to, provide more options for people that are on other networks that might be interested in getting the value of the, utility of FIO. And this enables them to get the token easily, swap it to the native chain and purchase domains and addresses. On the FIO address expiration FIP, do we want to spend a little time talking about that on the call? Because obviously that's a kind of tokenomics economics change that could directly impact you all in terms of, what would that look like as we onboard millions and millions of addresses and they kind of stick around forever. David's brought up a good point that there's a concern with the value that is provided even for address lookups. You're providing that value when someone hits that history node or they hit that API node and they're pulling up, that Bitcoin address to be able to just do a FIO send. And so they may never need bundled transactions and they're basically getting that value for eternity. So there's a little concern there potentially. And I think there's other ways that can be resolved, meaning you could have like private nodes that you charge access to that are high performant and don't have, access restrictions or things like that. I think there's other different ways from an infrastructure and running a business perspective that can be handled that could even be done off chain. But curious what you all think about that. Are there any concerns related to that as far as the expiration dates?
Well, I'll say that I think the BPs are a good bellwether for how difficult it is. And, when all the expirations happened, I went through and renewed a bunch of addresses for people just so that voting would continue to work. And, usability is the point, right? So let's make it usable. I'm 100% behind it.
Yeah, it's a great point, Todd. And I actually figured that out even just this week. Someone reminded me that they thought the address burning was broken because they didn't realize there is a burn expired method that apparently no one's called yet. Or if they have called it, it doesn't work. I'm pretty sure just no one's bothered to even call it yet. And I went through and realized I had some domains that would have expired and I had to go through and renew them that I was holding on behalf of the foundation. So yeah, that's usability of dealing with expirations is kind of a pain. And we still have to solve that with domains for sure. Hopefully notifications or something like that. But with the addresses, I agree with you. If you can't even do basic stuff on the chain, and you have to deal with that every year, it's kind of a pain.
And burn expired won't work until they're truly expired. It's what, an extra year, Pavel?
I think it's 90 days, right?
90 days, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thanks, Todd.
I mean, for domains,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
addresses longer. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, for addresses, we've done 1 year right now, just so that we have enough time to resolve this issue. And obviously, if we accept and adopt this FIP, then it will never happen. And also one comment on the FIP as it relates to the domain. So because the domain is still expiring, there is this limited functionality where the FIO address is going to go into a limited functionality 90 days after this, immediately after the domain expired for 90 days. So that's one of the mechanisms that the chain has to basically alert, hey, the domain is about to expire and all those addresses are about to be burned. So anybody that's using it, hopefully notices and renews the domain.
Very cool. All right. Any other concerns or comments about this while we got everybody on the call? Does it seems like, I know we already approved and passed the extension to 365 days. So that was kind of like a pre-approval to this concept as well. But is there anything we might have missed from the tokenomics or just the, server resources concerns, anything like that? Well, all right, then we'll we'll put this recording as an NFT to prove that we all thought this was okay. No objections. All right, it looks like we can move forward with it.
Pablo, do you have anything else y'all did?
Nope, that's all I have.
Right on. So the next piece and final piece probably is the BP reserves. And I don't know, if I will pass this to the BPs, I don't actually even know. I haven't done any analysis. Someone had done that. I can't remember who posted it out. That it was going to be running out within a couple months. I think it was posted. If anyone has more information on that or thoughts on moving forward beyond that, it does sound like it is pending that those will run out. So I will open that up to BPs. Has anyone been tracking that or aware of it or care?
It was Joseph that posted that notification, huh?
Yeah, I've been trying to track it, but still don't know how. So my bet is that the extra reserves will expire in a month or so. I just couldn't find a way to track what are those tokens and how and when will expire. And to be honest, I'm still on vacation, so I haven't worked on it much yet. But I just I'm calculating it was about 6 months or so, I believe. So I guess we still have a few weeks ahead to, let's see if we want to do something or not. We just leave it that it is. At least I will like to find a way to track the fees that we are collecting, and understand where are we now compared with a year ago, because I think it's important to get a self-sustained BP rewards eventually. So that's my main concern, right? We want this to be a healthy network. So yeah, I tried to find the place where are the tokens, to find where are they coming from, but they had some difficulties trying to track them. So
There's just remember there's the Grafana. I think it's graphs.fieldprotocol.io. There's a lot of great information there. I had created, or just I'm sorry, graph.fieldprotocol.io. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay.
There is a spreadsheet I put together a while back that was kind of tracking the economics of the system. I haven't updated that in months now that I think about it. So I can go ahead and get that updated. All it does is just pull the data basically from Grafana and, uses the kind of token price and the cost of address registrations, renewals, bundles, and things of that nature to kind of give an overview of where things are at. I do think we're not at a sustainable network yet. And I think that's going to require not just more integrations in terms of wallets and exchanges. I think it's really actually going to require time. When I look at the data, and I've had a number of conversations with different people in the industry where they say, we're about 4.5 years out from about 1 billion users in crypto, where at the same time in the adoption of the internet was about 7 years out. So we have a steeper curve of adoption from what we're seeing. I mentioned that once in front of Brock Pearson. He said, yeah, I'll take the under on that. Like he thought it might even be sooner than 4.5 years. And we've got some, exciting things with different countries that are wanting to, get more adoption going within their nation. So I think a big part of it, as I see it today, is just, continuing to improve and survive to be around in a few years, right? That's where the mass is coming. And as long as we're part of that conversation, all those businesses that want on board, they're hundreds of millions of people, we need to make sure we've got a team of people that are putting FIO in front of them so they know this is the proper way to give a great user experience for engaging with cryptocurrency. So that means, we'll probably have to explore some of the options that we discussed previously about, man, 6 months goes by quick, because previously we're like, yeah, we'll have plenty of time to reevaluate this. And we were kind of hoping that you guys would continue to keep this at the front of your minds and continue moving the conversation forward, which you are, but we got to put something concrete to that. So I think previously we did have some ideas, some of them were, for example, more based on a US dollar value of the token, potentially taking advantage of the kind of token price feed that is already being fed to the chain to do the different costs per registrations, for example. So I think there's some things we can explore there to basically make the chain lean cost-wise so that we can survive that and also make sure you guys are getting paid well enough to continue providing that service. So maybe even as a temporary thing based on maybe as a proportion of adoption, we have these kind of things in place where ideally, once adoption really ramps up and takes off, the reward might even be higher. But, I'm open to having this conversation if we can facilitate the conversation for you guys, whatever makes the most sense. But I do like that this is one driven directly by the block producers who are most impacted by it.
Cool.
So maybe what we could do in the Telegram mainnet or in Discord as well, just link out to the previous discussions on this and just evolve those.
To make it a healthy chain, it's always very important that the famous wallets and the famous exchanges adopt FIO. Could you update how those conversations are going? And how you consider FIO towards competing technologies?
Sure. David, do you want to get updated on that? Actually, we could even probably we have a competitive analysis, for example, with Unstoppable that we've been kind of sharing just one-on-one with different business development opportunities. But I don't know, David, if you want to go through just some of the conversations we've been having and kind of your overall sense of it. I think we're in 18 different wallets and exchanges now, and we've got a lot on the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the high level summary. So hopefully you guys are all tuned into Twitter and our media posts and everything else. But yeah, that number is about right. 18 integrations, about 6 or 7 underway, other agreements being signed. Yeah, on a competitive basis, the one area of overlap that FIO has with other key projects, which are Unstoppable and ENS, is on just the naming. With everything else FIO does and is implementing, FIO requests, FIO data, those solutions don't provide that capability. And now with FIO NFT signing, that'll be yet another differentiation. I certainly can, if I need to find it here, pull up the PDF, another set of initials.
While you're looking for that, I'll just get another thing that we're pretty excited about is we're just about ready to launch a new business development strategy that focuses on FIO Send only. which is basically kind of, again, as David was saying, the compatible experience we have with some of our, somewhat competing technologies out there. And this is at most about 16 hours of development work, 8 hours of devs, 8 hours of testing. It's fairly straightforward. And we're going to give a fairly, sizable grant to the companies that want to get involved in that. We have a new one pager we just finished yesterday. So we're reaching out to a lot of those conversations we've been having, wallets, exchanges that are interested, but haven't really been able to pull the trigger yet. And we got this great incentive to say, hey, just do this. And a lot of it is because their devs are just swamped. And now we can come to them and say, here's a lot of money. And there's even a locked token schedule reward. So they're embedded in the system with Theo tokens that's based on just a little bit of work. So that's something we're pretty excited about. Again, keep track of the social media to hear about that. And please leverage your relationships with wallets and exchanges as well to help promote that. In addition, we're even exploring some basically incentives for our biz dev team and anyone working to get those relationships solidified to get that integration done. So there's a lot of cool stuff on that side.
Yeah, so and we can. I don't see any reason why we can't send this PDF to the to the big block producers. So we, Eric, you can send this around to them. But this is this is just on naming, right? So this is a comparison of FIO addresses to unstoppable names, and going through a whole bunch of different criteria. I'm not going to read through the whole thing here, but showing the typical chart, right, of advantages and disadvantages of FIO versus Unstoppable. Obviously, the one area where they do something we don't do is Unstoppable has the objective of being decentralized DNS, and FIO does not have that objective. We actually continue to think that objective conflicts with the need around a usability layer for crypto, because the sending and receiving of crypto has a lot of privacy concerns around it, whereas DNS has to, by definition, be public from top to bottom. And that's where things like FIO requests and Diffie-Hellman encryption on the chain, and the future potential of having friend functionality on FIO, where you can create shared secrets and even eliminate the need to publicly map your public addresses out there can all play into that. So we can send this around, but this is actually wrong. This is a green check. This is like an old version. This integration grant here should be a green check, because they do provide an integration grant. So we can send that around. And then, like Luke said, we are launching, we just soft launched it. It hasn't been sort of publicly announced, a pretty major integration grant program that is very focused on FIO Send. And the strategy here is that FIO Send is by far and away the easiest thing to integrate. That is, all the integrations you hear about in Unstoppable, 99% of them, all it is sending to an Unstoppable address. It's nothing else. It's not a registration of an Unstoppable domain. It's not receiving to an Unstoppable domain. It's just sending. And FIO obviously can do the same thing, and it's just as easy. So we're a little bit taking a page out of their book and saying, well, let's go and boil the ocean and just get a lot of these wallets and exchanges just to do FIO Send, because it literally takes hours of work for them. It's just an API call. It's very limited UI change. And we put together some pretty, exciting grant proposals. This, is we actually haven't sent this to FTX. This is just a mock-up. We have a target list we've developed with the BD team and others. So it's a named list of specific exchanges, specific wallets. They're categorized by their prominence level, sort of into A+, A, B, and then all others. And the amount of the grant is very much related to which bucket they're in. So, A+ players would be like FTX, Coinbase, Ledger. Those kind of companies would be the top of the stack, and with some pretty generous integration rewards for them to do it, given the impact on the project of those types of entities doing even a FIO Send integration. And then the rewards drop off. Literally, they get halved, cut in half by every level. Most of the rewards being paid, the vast majority, are in locked FIO tokens. So we're mimicking, what was done pre-mainnet, where there were FIO token grants that were even more sizable than what we're talking about now, but much more sizable, given to the entities that committed to integrate before mainnet and who got their integration live within the 6 months of mainnet. And the significant majority of those that committed to do that followed through and did it. As you all know, companies like Coinomi and Edge and Garda all did that, and they received a chunk of FIO tokens on a lock schedule. So similar here, that there's a lock schedule put together for these different lock schedules, not quite as long. The token rewards are significant, but literally an order of magnitude less than what the ones got pre-mainnet, but still could be even $500,000 worth of FIO for these absolute top tier entities. And so that's the goal here. And it also achieves another goal, which, as I think all of you know, I mean, FIO is intended to be an industry DAC, a decentralized autonomous consortia. And so getting FIO tokens in the hands of integrators is part of our strategy. It's been part of the plan from the beginning, that the chain should be significantly governed and controlled by wallets, exchanges, crypto payment processors, or integrators. And by the way, it'll be announced here shortly, but Coin Payments has done a full FIO integration, which is really cool. All of the Coin Payments hosted sites, all their e-commerce sites that are using their hosted crypto application for accepting crypto payments will have the ability for users to check out with a FIO address and a FIO request, where a FIO request is sent to their FIO-enabled wallet. So there'll be announcements coming out shortly on that as well. So we're just launching this program, and yeah, wallets, exchanges, if you guys have relationships, crypto payment processors, NFT exchanges, this NFT signing functionality, we're all really excited about. We are working with Unique One that is already working on integration. Any other NFT exchanges that you guys have relationships with, we really would love to start talking to them about this. It is such a huge opportunity for them because it solves an NFT forgery problem for them. It helps protect permanence of off-chain content, and it makes them money. So it's a winner all the way around for them. It makes them, FIO token income through the TPID fees. So please leverage your relationships and let us know if you have any that you can help us with. Any questions on that?
It sounds great. Maybe Anders, I know you've done some stuff with Atomic Hub. Maybe you've got some special relationships you could connect us with, or anyone else. Just we'd love to talk to more NFT platforms.
On Wax, we don't have the same issue where the collections are verified on almost all marketplaces. So it's very easy to verify that the NFT and the collection is authentic just by they have to go through that process from the start. So it's already built with that in mind from the get-go.
What do you mean by collections? What do you mean by that?
On Wax, so you can create a collection, and in the collection you can have different schemas and templates, and you can in my collection, for example, I have 29,000 NFT, and all of them you can easily see that they are minted by me and verified by me. Very easy to do on the Wax marketplaces.
So they're taking them through manual KYC then. They're requiring all of their creators to go through KYC essentially in a
You do have to submit it. Yeah, you do have to submit for review. And I mean, there's pros and cons with that too. I mean, I've talked to some projects that have been on the bad end of that process. So.
Well, it creates liability risk for the exchange if they present that and somebody may mess up and somebody buys a forged NFT, now they're liable. So there is risk there for that.
The other part of it too is just NFT artists that are multi-chain, and we're seeing more and more of those where they're minting on Ethereum, they're minting on Wax, and so even though within the Wax ecosystem they're totally got that all figured out, I still think there would be value to potentially exploring the FIO signing for them, because then an artist can say, hey, here's my FIO address. And whether you're looking at my Wax collection, my Ethereum collection, my BSC collection, my, whether it's going to be Cardano, who knows what else, it seems like every new chain is making sure they have NFT functionality support on their chain. So I think even for that reason, the more we get these marketplaces thinking along these lines, the more we get interoperability between the different chains, and then the better user experience we have across the board. Because I know people that are excited about NFTs, but they don't know the Wax ecosystem. We bring them over to it and I have to learn a whole new set of stuff. And it would be kind of neat if they could just be like, oh, FIO, I understand that. And then it's just the same across every interface. That's ideally what we're going for.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say to the Wax team, if I had a chance to talk to them, is, look, would you rather have a system like you currently have where there's a significant KYC lift and cost of time and huge inertia of getting a creator on board, and adding legal risk because now you are the ones who have done that and are presenting it, or have a decentralized solution that eliminates, not only eliminates that cost, but actually generates income for you and takes you out of the legal liability loop. I mean, that's what FIO does for them. That's what FIO NFT signatures would do for them. It's like, why would you want to be in the business of KYC and doing that? So if there's an opportunity for us to talk with them, and even if they say no, it'd be great to hear why they think that their centralized system, and we'd learn from that. So if you have connections there, we'd love to talk to them about this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I see Brad asked a question about the coin payments integration, if they're going to be updating their e-commerce plugins. I assume, Brad, those are like WordPress plugins and things like that, or are those like Shopify? What kind of plugins do you mean?
WordPress, like WooCommerce.
So my understanding is coin payments has two different ways that that sites can integrate. One is a completely hosted solution, and the other is a custom one. The FIO integration is not going live on the custom one. It's going live on the hosted application, and it's actually already live. So the hosted ones, as they explain it, it's literally hosted. And when people go down that path, they're punching out to the coin payments interface on their software as a service platform, and the FIO integration is live there, and therefore it will be live on all of the hosted sites. And they said that the significant majority of their sites use their hosted solution, not their custom one.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I don't have an exact number for the sites. Katie is actually getting that from them. We've heard numbers as big as 100,000 sites they claim are on that platform from one person in coin payments, but we want to get verification on that because that sounds wonderfully large. I'd love for it to be 100,000 sites using their hosted platform to accept crypto, but honestly, even if it's only 10,000, we think that's still fucking cool that there's 10,000 sites out there you can check out using a FIO request. The checkout experience is certainly immensely more joyful and less risky to simply receive a FIO request in your wallet and approve it than the other, the alternative method for completing the payment process.
Yeah. Awesome.
I want to respect everyone's time. I think we're out of time now, but thank you all so very much for showing up. It's such a great honor to work with you guys and build this network. Pretty exciting stuff going on. Look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.